right, let me just get one more little sip of this. Let's make sure this thing works. Oh yeah. All right, I'm feeling pretty ready today. Whew. Okay. Look good? How's my hair? Well, thank you. We have a live studio audience. Welcome to Off Color, powered by Versa. I'm your host, Rebekah Henderson, aka the Tan Tigress. If this is your first time tuning into the show, I just want to let you know that topics will be discussed. You may feel uncomfortable, and that's okay. Now, I'm very excited to be powered by Versa Colorado, and I'm just going to tell you why real quick before we get into it, because we have a lot to get into this evening. The thing I love about Versa Colorado is they offer a platform and a space for people who normally would not have a voice and in the media, like people like me. And I think that that is amazing. So shouts out to Versa Colorado. I know, I'm not supposed to press that. Sorry. Okay, let's get into it. Tonight we have a very special guest. This person is an educator. He is an activist. He is a hater of Wakanda. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to present Hasira Ashemu H-Soul! Hello! What's up, Wakanda hater? Welcome back.
It's good to be
Off
here.
Color.
Yes,
You haven't been up in the new space.
Listen, I am digging the new digs. Like this is you have definitely George Jefferson.
I know. I say it all the time. I'm moving on up.
You made it happen for yourself. I love it.
All day, every day, if you know what I mean.
Right.
Okay. So, H-Soul, thank you again so much for coming, spending some time with me here. I have been a long-time admirer of your work. You and I met because of our dearly departed brother, Dr. Gregory Diggs. Mm-hmm. Okay? So, let's just do a little, just for Diggs, you know.
One for the homie?
Nah. Amen.
Don't let us do that too many more times.
I know. I feel like you're always trying to monitor my alcohol consumption. What are you, my husband? All right. By the way, is my husband watching? Hey, baby.
Right.
Okay. So I want you to tell me and tell our audience what it is that you do. Like, what's your purpose around education?
So I am an education community organizer, and my focus is really to address inequities that exist, systemic inequities that exist inside of public education specifically, and to work with families and communities around empowering and creating empowering systems and alternative systems of education for community upliftment.
All right. So I know something about your work, but I would like to know, I have one question. I have a million questions, but one question I want to ask you now is, what do you think is the greatest challenge for Black and Indigenous youth in the education, public education as it is at this time? What do you think is like the greatest challenge? Or
Well, the greatest challenge that exists now is the greatest challenge that existed when Black and First Nation people were ever introduced to European education. And that is being able to bring their whole selves into the classroom, right? And so public education for Black, Brown, First Nation, poor whites has always been a matter of creating beings for assimilation in order to be in service of the few. And so the issue has not changed. The methods have changed, but what the issue is that public education was not built for Black, Brown, First Nation people to be able to bring their whole selves into the classroom. And so I am working with other community members, parents, teachers, educators to create a space where we can bring our whole selves into the classroom.
I love that. I do. I think that is such an important mission, and I'm proud to be associated somewhat with your organization and the work you do. I love that. Don't you have a summit coming up or something?
We do have a summit coming up in August, and you and Ken have been tremendous supporters, and Kingston, of what it is that we are doing, and I love you all for the support that you've given that our movement.
Thank you. And I love all the work you do, sir.
Yes, thank you.
And I like your work particularly around sort of like dismantling white supremacy. I know.
That's one. She gets one.
All right. But around like education and building allyship and helping people to understand how to be a good ally.
Right.
And so before we got together, before this show tonight, I had a plan. I had a thing I wanted to do with you. I wanted to go over some of the terminology. I wanted to help people to understand. And unfortunately, too much is popping off right now. So we're going to scrap that topic. It's a little bit hot. So in Denver, Colorado, where we are this evening. So we are going to go ahead and we're going to get back to that topic. And anybody that wants to talk about systemic racism with me is welcome to. But right now, we need to talk about some serious things that have happened. So one, I, like you, know our friend, Brandon. Can I say his name? Mm-hmm. Hey, Brandon. So our friend Brandon, whose son was placed into handcuffs, age 7 years old. It was a news story. You can check that out. It got covered. But there's just so many disheartening things happening to our children. That's the other reason I think your work is so important. And so I guess I saw some disturbing things. A mutual friend of ours, I'm not going to say her name, but a mutual friend of ours posted something on Facebook about her child going to the bathroom. Do you know the story? Do you have like the whole thing? Okay, can you go ahead and just like share that? So because I feel like I don't have all the facts.
Okay, so apparently two kindergartners, one a black child, one a white child, went to the bathroom. The white child boo-booed on the floor. I'm an adult and saying boo-boo is just problematic, just so but I'll rock with it.
Okay,
but
okay.
He defecated on the floor, and
it sounds like the title of an album, doesn't it? I defecated on the floor.
That's because of Lauryn Hill defecated on the microphone.
Word. You're right. Okay, go ahead. Nothing new under the sun.
The white boy defecated on the floor. Went back to the teacher, blamed the black boy for the defecation, and the white teacher then made the black boy clean up the boo-boo, and just in case my 12-year-old daughter's watching, the boo-boo, and only to later find out that it was actually the young white kid that had done it. And so there's a lot, there's a lot going on with that case right now, and I don't want to talk about it too much, but those are the basic facts of it. And the truth of the matter is this is not abnormal inside of public education. This is what it means to be a member of an oppressed class and to be put through the daily machinations of public education. Unfortunately, I get 3 or 4 or 5 calls like this a week. So this is this one I will admit is a bit more on the extreme. It's shocking because the child is so young and we're dealing with feces and you're dealing with I can't even imagine. Like this is crazy as far as it's extreme, but it's not abnormal, and so we're on it. Just know that Our Voice, Our Schools is working with the family, making sure that they get emotional counseling and mental health supports with this, and we will hold the district accountable and the offending teacher accountable.
Okay. Now I have a question about that. When we have something like this that happens, do you feel like you need to throw that teacher away?
Yes.
Whoa,
so
I wasn't expecting that, but
listen,
go ahead.
If that's your response, first of all, there's no reason why either child should have been cleaning it up. They're both in kindergarten, right? So this is not a matter of them making a black child clean. That's another layer, but neither child should have been made to clean it up. if you're an adult and you don't know that, and you expose a child to a biohazard, then you don't need to be around children. You're a danger. That's reckless endangerment to a child. And so, if you're an adult and you don't get that by the time you're an adult, then you have some issues. And so, you're in the wrong business, right? Education is about a love for children, a love for learning, a love for human beings. That is not an act of love. That's an act of, she has something blocking seeing that child as a human being. And rather she was trying to exact some type of punitive measures on that. And that is part and parcel of a racist mindset that needs to be healed. But it doesn't need her healing cannot happen inside of the classroom.
Okay. Do you have any kind of plan for healing or racial reconciliation as it pertains to educators and public education?
Say that one more time.
If you have any idea or plan for like racial reconciliation or healing in public education, or it can be anywhere in America if you want to keep it broad, but
so here's the thing. Ever since America began, Black people, white people, First Nation people those that have been oppressed have worked together in order to overthrow their oppressors. In fact, the racialization of white people actually happened because of Bacon's Rebellion, where you had Black slaves and white indentured servants coming together to overthrow the yoke of oppression of a common oppressor. And so the rich royals were like, wait a minute, we have to find a way to split this up.
Yeah.
And so they used race as a ways and means to do that. So I'm saying that to say there's not really so much of a plan. The plan is already there. The plan was enacted with Bacon's Rebellion. The plan was enacted with the Underground Railroad, where you had Black, whites, First Nation people all working to set African slaves, people who were enslaved, free. All successful liberatory movements in this country have always been multiracial.
Okay.
And so it's not so much of recreating the wheel as much as educating people that that's our pathway to success, and then continuing to move forward with that.
So something you said really struck me, this idea of unifying to overthrow our oppressors, but then also it kind of made me think about the tools that are used against us to divide us, to make poor white people think they're not in the same boat,
right,
technically, right, as Black people.
Right.
Okay? So I cannot help but think about our municipal election
right. Speaking
now.
Of division, right?
So speaking of division, of having a divided community, we are still in America, so I know that things are going to be popping off regularly.
Right.
However, as some people know, I'm working on a documentary right now, and it's called Running with My Girls, and it's about women of color running for local office in Denver, Colorado. Somehow I have become a little more involved in the project than I thought I would be, because I just mean that I didn't realize I would care so much. Like when I first started this project, I was following Shayla Richard, Chantel Lewis, Candy C. Vaca,
yes,
Veronica Barella, and Dr. Lisa Calderon. And so all of these are women I know. All of these are women that I'm friends with. And so I started off, thought it was this great idea that I could just like document the race. And then in my mind, I honestly was like, it doesn't matter if they win or lose, it's going to be this great movie. But because I've been so close to their campaigns, I'm seeing so much, and it is affecting me. And some people may or may not know this, but we had our election on May 7th. And the way Denver works, if you don't get 51% of the vote, you automatically go to a runoff. And that happened in like half the city, half the districts, I think. We have one in 1, 3, 10, 5, 8.
I think it's just 9.
9. No, it's not just 9. There's a
No,
bunch of
not
runoffs.
just 9. I'm saying 1, 3, and 9.
1, 3, and 9. But not 10. Also a runoff.
Okay.
So anyway, so the runoff thing is and then we had in our mayoral election, we also have a runoff. And it is now the incumbent, Mayor Michael Hancock, with facing off with Jamie Gillis, who's an urban planner. It is notable that Jamie Gillis is a woman and she is white. So there's a lot going on here.
Right.
Okay? And here we go. Are we ready?
We're ready.
All right. So everyone knows that I am Team Dr. Lisa Calderon. She was my candidate, and I love her. Hey, girl, if you're watching, I'm thinking about you right now. But she didn't make it. Now let's talk about why do you think she didn't make it to the runoff? May I ask you that?
Because she's not a white, blonde-haired woman.
Okay.
If Lisa Calderon was white, even brunette, I'll even slide
Lord.
with brunette. If she was a white woman, we wouldn't be in a runoff right now. If you look at what Lisa Calderon brings to the table on paper alone,
Yeah.
just by Eurocentric measures of success and accomplishment, she is a JD, she has her master's, and she now has her doctorates.
She has 2 masters, actually. She has 4 degrees.
So,
Just saying. I just want to keep everything like...
so it goes back to that saying that your grandma used to say that black people have to be twice as good. In this case, even twice as good isn't
enough.
It isn't enough. So that's why we are where we are.
Okay, now I want to push back a little bit. Not even push back, but just kind of talk about it more because from my perspective, I felt like people were either voting for, like progressives, I guess, and black people and brown people were voting for Penfield Tate or Lisa Calderon. Is that true, or do you know, or you don't know?
I know. That's into the weeds. I'm saying.
Okay, but I'm saying people say
63% of the electorate voted for someone other than the incumbent mayor.
Okay.
That would have been solidified under a papered white woman. If Lisa Calderon was white appearing, she would have, in my estimation, been the majority choice. There would have been no. Yes.
Okay. But I'm asking because one of the things that people are saying is that the black vote was split between Penfield, Hancock, and Lisa.
Black people in Denver make up what, 10%?
11, I think now. But I think they count the people in jail. I don't want to say that, but I do. I think they do.
Maybe, let's say 4% of those voted.
Okay.
We are not the ones that tilted this election.
Okay.
I mean, I'm not saying that we're not important. I'm just saying that was not the decisive factor that the black vote was divided.
Okay. Now, I feel like, so brother Jeff Fard, if people know who that is, just like, I don't know, throw that in the comments there, Sister Leah. But he was on the team of anybody but Hancock, right? And so now our candidate essentially is?
Lisa Calderon.
Stop it now.
Lisa Calderon.
No, but it's who are you voting for?
I'm voting for Lisa Calderon and Penfield Tate. That's who I'm voting for. And that's what I want people to understand. See, American politics is very simplistic a lot of times, right? I am voting for a unified ticket. A unified ticket. Only I would not be voting for that unified ticket if Lisa Calderon and Penfield Tate were not on that ticket.
Right.
So when you ask me who I'm voting for the unified ticket.
Okay. So that's where you and I agree wholeheartedly, is that I also am on the unity ticket. So I respect and admire Lisa, and I trust her, and I trust her judgment, and I trust her what she thinks can be accomplished with a new mayor. So I am voting, and I'm not voting for Michael Hancock.
Right.
And I think that's because I saw a piece today, and it was like, can you be? Are people pro Gillis or just anti Hancock? And what do you think of that?
If people are pro Gillis or anti Hancock.
Yeah.
Okay. So again, this is part and parcel of the simplistic view of American politics. In that, when you say anti-Hancock, it makes it sound like you're talking about an individual. I am not anti-Michael Hancock, the individual. I am anti the Michael Hancock regime.
Okay, you need to pull it back and tell me, what do you mean when you talk about that?
So what I mean is that Michael Hancock is an individual, but as an individual, he represents the interest of a particular class, a particular group of people that have propped him up, and he has served their interest. It is the interest that he has been in service of that I am anti-against. I'm anti-against people over profits. I'm against ethnic cleansing, gentrification. I'm against pay for. I'm against the interest. I'm not against the bodied individual of Michael Hancock. It's not personal towards him. I am anti what his regime has brought into the city.
Okay.
She wants to know, what is the difference at this point?
What is the difference between, and I'm following Hashim, what's the difference between what and who?
You mean Hashade? Hi, Hashade.
So, and I want to talk a little bit about, and I don't want to diverge too much because I have thoroughly enjoyed intellectually engaging with people like Hashim and Sharif around their support of Hancock. And again, I know that their support of Hancock is not rooted in the individual itself, but it's rooted in a political reality that they think is better than the political reality that I am for with the unification of the ticket, right? And so I want to say unequivocally that there is nothing that could happen in this political theater that would make me anti-Hashim or anti-Sharif. I am not going to be pitted against my brothers like that. I love Hashim. He's a brilliant black man that brings forward some brilliant ideas. He sharpens my thinking. I hope I do the same for him, and the same is for Sharif. So I don't allow this political theater to undercut the humanity that exists between brothers and sisters inside of this, although I know it can get contentious. But again, that's to my point. I think Hashem is a powerful thinker in the sense that he's not liking Hancock just simply because he's a black man or simply because he grew up on the East Side. There are political considerations that he's using and that's what he's in support of.
Okay. Well, my feeling on that, in case anyone wants to know what I think, you want to know? I think that Jamie Gillis is going to be a person that can be held accountable. I think she's a person that knows she doesn't know everything. And that she's willing. She's showing us already that she's willing to work with people and build an administration that reflects Denver. That's what she's been showing me.
So let's be very clear about so let's keep it 100.
Okay. Well,
Jamie Gillis, right? Jamie Gillis cannot become mayor without the support of Dr. Lisa Calderon, and Penfield Tate's votes. How sincere she is about. It's very difficult and it's very dangerous for us to judge politicians' sincerity in election season, right? And so I wouldn't promote, or I wouldn't, I don't give that benefit of the doubt. I don't know what her particular machinations are and inclinations are. Time will tell that. However, I'm voting for Jamie Gillis, Hashem, the unity ticket.
Hashade.
Because I study community organizing.
Yeah.
I'm in community organizing. I study revolution, and I know that we need a breakup of the current regime. It's been in place 8 years.
Yeah.
And so the political machinations of the Hancock regime are entrenched inside of the city in such a way that it has blocked out any opportunities for those that lie outside of the Blackness leadership class to come inside and infuse it or to partake of the goods that this economy has afforded this small class of people. I would rather, as a political scientist, I would rather fight a new regime that doesn't have its footing and it were to misstep than to fight an entrenched regime that is 8 years and then to give them more time to become deeper entrenched and then to do the old handover to the next person, i.e. Albus Brooks, to carry the baton of that same regime, right? Which is what I call the Blackness leadership class. I hope that made sense. You said I can be
loquacious.
Loquacious.
He's Loquacious Jones up in here.
Loquacious Jenkins.
Yeah. Okay, that's good.
I think it makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Good. I want it to make sense. I want people to understand because I feel like I got people all up in my DMs asking me how I'm supporting Jamie Gillis. Why am I voting for her? All of these questions around it. Why am I saying that I think she is the better choice for us for mayor?
Right. My choice for Jamie Gillis has nothing to do with the personage of Jamie Gillis because I understand power, and power doesn't rest inside of individuals. It rests inside of collective regimes of individuals. And so I am supporting a new regime because it will be less stabilized.
I'm giving away our secrets.
No, I'm keeping it 100. I'm saying if Jamie Gillis gets in power and she steps out of line, it will be much easier to hold her accountable than for somebody who's been in power for 8 years. His political machinations have been in power for 8 years. His political operatives have been in power for 8 years. It will be it's much more difficult and has been proven to be much more difficult to have any type of impact on a regime that is 8 years old as opposed to one that is very young.
Okay.
I'm not saying that that's the idea is to overthrow her. I'm saying
that's what it sounds like, sir.
What I'm saying, I'm a community organizer. Okay. So I'm always operating from the lens of how can people have the greatest impact on the systems that govern their lives. And the people have a much better chance of having an impact on the systems that govern their lives with newer systems than systems that are deeply entrenched. That's all I'm saying.
You heard it here, fam. That's what the word is. And so nobody better ask me, beep, anything about my vote. It's none of your business. You vote for who you want to vote for, and I'm going to vote for who I want to vote for. And that's all I had to say about that. It's like I have so much to say about it, but I'm going to rein it in. We don't have that kind of time.
Right.
Okay. So we don't just have, so the other thing is, so that's it. So my Running with My Girls, my documentary, so that's still kind of ongoing. The other candidate who I was following, I got two.
We got two.
Veronica Barella.
Veronica.
And Candy Rebekah.
I want Candy.
So I'll just mention very briefly about Veronica, only because Veronica is the OG. And I learned things about Veronica that I did not know, that she's amazing. And if I lived in District 3, she would definitely be getting my vote. And so if you live in District 3, I feel like she should get your vote.
Got
okay?
it. Mm-hmm.
So that's all. She's just she's an old school progressive, civil rights activist, all that. So Veronica, we're wishing you luck, baby girl, and I think that you'll be able to do it. Is that okay? Am I allowed to say that? Yeah, I am.
Well, we're live, so.
That's true. Shit. Well, my opinions do not reflect.
No, that's not
My
what
opinions.
to do.
My opinions do not reflect Versa, Colorado.
We'll all sit to that.
Okay. So, but I just wanted to mention that. But
Okay.
I really want to talk about Candy. So, Candy is like one of my heroes at this point. Okay?
She rose.
She's got me so activated. You know what I'm saying? Like, she has me wanting to make a difference. Like, seriously, the other night, this is a true story. There was a community meeting in my neighborhood, and I did not feel like going because I had to go pick up my kid. But I was like, you know what Candy would say? Rebekah, you better go to that community meeting. That's your community.
Show up.
And so I did show up, and my kid took the microphone. This is another story I'll tell you later, but it was pretty funny. I'm sorry.
Kingston,
my son. I raised my hand to ask a question to the Board of Education.
Okay.
And I said, what are you doing about this 7-year-old that they put in handcuffs? And then they were like, oh, excuse me. And then my son takes the microphone and he says, can I talk in the microphone? And so I told him to ask that question. And then, anyway, we can talk about that later.
Got it.
Sorry. But yes. Yo, community meetings be popping off. People should go to that. Stay active in your local government. All right, back to candy.
Candy.
Something happened today.
Something happened today.
So
something's been happening.
Okay. Mm-hmm. So if people have not heard, is anyone familiar with what happened today with Candy Rebekah? It was in the news. Do you want me to tell it, or do you want to tell it?
No, I think you should take a shot at it.
I'm sorry. Okay, here I go. No, this is it's serious. So there is a flyer that got posted on Facebook by someone who actually, I believe, works in Michael Hancock's administration. Is this true?
Yeah.
That shows a picture of Albus Brooks with a monkey body and a banana. And it has Candy Rebekah's logo poorly photoshopped onto it. And it says something like, it's time for this monkey to get out of here and vote Latino. It's time. It said that. And so I saw that, and my first thought was, oh my God, this is the worst, fakest thing I've ever seen. And anyone that knows Candy knows that, her campaign would never put this out. And I know that you have a lot of thoughts on this, but my only thought when I saw it was, oh my gosh, how could anybody believe that that Candy or anyone in her campaign would put something out like this?
Well, first thing is what happens during political season is the same thing that happens during Black Friday. And that is people's frontal lobes are circumvented, and they're operating from the reptilian part of the brain.
Okay.
So people, all the material, all the words, people are just operating like they are in a line at Walmart and they're trying to get that $35 TV. They're not. It's not rational.
Okay.
Any rational brain could look at that piece of political hack jobness and realize that it is fugazi, that it is a fake piece of material. But when I say that it's fake, I want to talk about, and I want to put that fake piece of material in context, right?
Uh-oh. Well, everybody settle in for a minute. Soul's gearing up. Whew.
So, we are talking about regimes. Anybody that lives in this city or has been following this race knows that as goes Hancock, so goes Brooks. They are part of the same black misleadership class cabal of folks inside of this city that have wrangled power for the last 8 years. We also have to understand that they work in tandem with each other, which is why the mayor's public affairs person posted this piece of image on her page and demanded that Candy Rebekah give her answers for it. Now, let me tell you why that is so problematic. Because the mayor's...
If a black person starts clapping like that, you about to get told something. Okay, go ahead.
Let me tell you why that's so problematic. Because this particular individual is not only the mayor's public affairs, but she was in media, in journalism, and is known as a journalist inside of Denver, a noted journalist. As a journalist, there are things that journalists achieve or strive to be in order to maintain a certain level of journalistic integrity.
Right. That I don't have, in case anybody wants to know.
Right? Else it just becomes Fox News, fake news, right? Which is what this was. And so rather than to investigate the authenticity of the piece of paper that she was profiting onto the internet, she just posted it up there. But why did she do that? What were her interests? Well, she's the mayor's public affairs person. Why would the mayor's public affairs person do something that goes directly against journalistic integrity, because she is part and parcel of the small cabal of black misleadership class that is in place, that is deathly afraid of what is taking place right now in this city, which is an overthrow of these 8-year-old, even some older, entrenched systems of oppression, and where these black elites operate with each other and give jobs to each other and pass on to each other. So she's looking out for her own interest in posting that, because she's not doing it out of journalistic integrity. This is what I want those of you to do. Go and look at the image that we're talking about. Look at Albus Brooks' face. His face lands on the crease of this card. And we're going to go deep. Just give me 1 more minute to go deep on this.
Okay.
Take a drink.
Okay.
We're going to go there. Look at the crease of the card. If you look at the crease of the card, Albus's face is not creased. Why is that significant? Because the person who said they took that picture said that she had gotten these flyers from around Albus's house. So she was actually taking a picture of an actual physical flyer. But if it was a physical flyer, there would be a crease in the face of Albus Brooks. There is not a crease. And in fact, if you look at it, you can see the crease up underneath the image that's been photoshopped on top of it. And so I challenged her and the person to show the actual physical flyer that was maintained, and nobody has done it, because it was a created piece of material. It does not exist in physical form. It exists only in digital form, and thus the person that said that she's taking a picture of it, she's lying. And for any journalist worth their salt could look at that and investigate it and ask those simple questions before posting it on and asking a political opponent who, by the way, this same mayor's official has worked in the capacity of hosting events for the mayor. So it's not like she's, neutral in this. She's serving a particular interest in all of this.
Okay. So
I know that was a mouthful, but
it was.
To say it short, it's a fugazi, and the black misleadership class is supporting it, and sheeple are not paying attention even by just looking at it and doing a brief amount of investigation to see that it's a fugazi. It's not a physical flyer. It's something that exists only in digital form.
Okay.
Propaganda, as Jennifer Rose just said. It's propaganda.
It's propaganda. It is. And I feel like, I feel like there's so many serious, I don't want to act like overt racism isn't a serious thing, okay? But there are so many things going on in our city and in this election, and there are so many things that are at stake. I want to know why people are using such a racially charged image.
Because it appeals to the reptilian part of the brain.
Okay.
It doesn't appeal to the frontal lobe. It appeals to the tribal reptilian part.
Yeah.
Listen, if you go on Albus's page and and look at the conversations that took place, you can begin to see the conversations where black people and Chicano Latinx First Nation people are starting to fight each other.
Yeah. And that's what we don't want.
But that's what the flyer was meant to do.
Okay.
The flyer was meant to appeal to the reptilian, regardless of how shady it was done. It was meant to appeal to the reptilian part of the brain that doesn't go through circumspect thinking, so that you can say, wait a minute, why is this? Why is that? Why, it forgoes all that, and you just act off of pure animal instinct.
Okay. So, what should we do now in regards to this? Like, is there anything we can do for Candy? I don't know. I feel...
Well, see, this is the beautiful thing about Candy's campaign. Candy is woke. She's been punished in this campaign for being woke. She's been punished in this campaign for having a critique of late-stage capitalism. She has been critiqued for being a Chicano woman inside of this campaign. So the people that follow her are not following an individual. She represents a new way of thinking, an understanding. This is not a moment for the people that are following Candy. This is a movement. And it's a movement set upon principles and ideas that run counter to the 8-year regime that would just want us to operate on simple skin politics and selfish self-interest. That's why I want Candy, right? So when you say I want Candy, you're not just talking about an individual, you're talking about a movement, and that's what she is. And anybody who knows Candy knows, one, that both of her adopted parents are black, her partner is black, so for her to put out a piece of material that is blasting black people, if the person that put out that piece of information was sincere. And this is the problem, because black people will be the first to castigate Trump people for putting out fugazi and fake news about black people, but then we turn around and do it to each other, and we forego journalistic integrity in order to get an edge up or a foot up. That's the same reason why Trump is doing the things that he does. He has a reason why he's doing it. You have adopted that type of mentality because you're part of a blackness leadership class that serves the same interest, has the same belief system, has the same value system as Trump does. And that's why you couldn't defeat Trump, because you can't defeat Master using his own tools.
What if, though? You're so serious, man. Okay.
This is serious.
I know it's serious,
It's
but you know
serious.
what, though? One of my things that I like to say, though, is that I think you can defeat the Master using the Master's tools in ways the Master never expected you to use them.
Okay.
So that's
I won't argue against that.
Thank you.
I won't argue against that.
Oh my gosh. So are we
And
having- we're having a
there's
moment?
validity in that.
I feel good, you guys. Okay. So, but seriously, I got a question for you around how can we, I'm using we, the collective black we, sort of decolonize our minds? Do you have any thoughts or tips for that?
Yes, be in community. And I'm following my own feed, and I see people like Reverend Timothy Tyler, and I just want to, if you can think of a perfect example of bucking the status quo in an area, because we have to understand religion is one of those areas that have been used to oppress. And very rare, and in the black community, when they're looking to control us, they usually go to the black church in order to control, in order to manipulate the masses of people. But every now and again, we get a person with such high integrity that is, although wearing, that is in the church, is using the church for a liberatory cause. And Reverend Timothy Tyler represents somebody who could easily be part of the blackness leadership class.
Yeah.
Easily. And I'm sure he's been approached many times with 30 pieces of silver to do exactly that. But he stands on a tradition. He stands on principles, and because of that, you can join a movement of people that think that way, and that's why he supports Candy Sidibaka. That's why he supported Lisa Calderon. He wasn't supporting them as individuals. He was supporting the mindset, and that is what I would encourage people to do, is to become a little more nuanced, a little more deeper understanding of what politics represents. Reading Wretched of the Earth is a great start for people to do in order to begin to deepen their political understanding, so that we're not just operating from.
Can you give me a cliff notes of that real quick? Because I never read it, and I don't got that kind of time,
So
sir.
you know what I started doing? So Wretched of the Earth is by Frantz Fanon. It's a beautiful, but it can be a challenging read. Form book clubs. Like I said, do it in community. But it's a book that talks about how people are oppressed, how the mechanisms of oppressing people. And so many times we have a feeling that we're being oppressed, but we don't know how that works exactly. Individuals don't oppress people. Donald Trump is not oppressing anybody. It's the systems and that Donald Trump has control of that are oppressing people. And so what we have to learn is how do we influence or take over systems that control and have an impact on our lives.
Okay.
And that's through 3 ways: organizing, organizing, and organizing. Organization is the only thing that will allow us to fight back against the machine as it exists now.
Okay. Well, I'll drink to that. I'm almost done, so that must mean the show's almost over. So, before we start wrapping it up. But, okay. So the only thing I want to add to that is vote for Candy Vodka. Can I just add that?
I want.
We got questions?
Hashem says, I really want I want you all to talk about the other tactic that would use that jeopardize Candy's life. So I think Hashem is making reference to one, and some people might think that he's exaggerating, but what happened earlier in the campaign is that they were trying to label Candy as a communist because she made a very powerful statement, one of the most powerful statements I think.
And, sorry, I don't want to interrupt you, but
okay.
just briefly, I just want to say we did talk about this on episode 4, I think, or with Carrie Joy, episode 3, just so people, if they can go back, we also talked about that with Carrie, who is Candy's wife partner.
Yeah.
Sorry, but anyway.
Yeah,
go
absolutely.
ahead. And
so that put her life in jeopardy. In a Trump America, that absolutely put her life in jeopardy because you have people who are operating from the reptilian part of their brain who think, that it's there. When we live in an environment where we have active shooters every other week or every other day at this point, people who are quote unquote patriots and see themselves taking the law into their own hands, to say that about a Latino, a Hispanic, First Nation sister was very dangerous and duplicitous, and again, it was only meant to give one leg up in the race, and no one came out and denounced it in the way that I felt like it really needed to happen.
Yeah, I agree.
But that's patriarchy, right?
That's a whole other episode, son. Seriously, we can't even try to get into that right now. But you know what we are going to... Do we have any other, pressing questions that we can maybe wrap up here?
I wanted to talk about the death threats.
Yeah.
Everyone's just disgusted.
Yeah, well, they should be.
About the death threats that came towards Candy earlier. Yeah, and I mean, it's no accident that it came... See, and this is where you have to really examine patriarchy, right? Because you can't have the wholesale exploitation without, it's not coincidental that both of the men that dropped out of that race ended up backing the incumbent, right? Even Albus, if he would have been of upstanding character, would have said, listen, no, I know that this particular individual has put my opponent's life at risk by using particular tactics that put her life in danger. And so I don't want that. I don't want that 30 pieces of silver, of those 30 votes, which is pretty close to all that the dude had anyway. But he didn't have the character to do that. And that is part and parcel of the black misleadership class. They'll do anything and everything to maintain and to stay in power. If you want to look what's troubling Africa, and all the wars that are in Africa are all centered in black misleadership and small cabals of power being used by rich, wealthy, moneyed interests to control the masses of people. And it's no different in urban areas here in the United States. We still got 10 minutes.
Oh my God. I'm in a mood. All right. Well, we're going to have to leave this alone for a minute, because it's time for my favorite segment.
Okay.
Positive news for people of color. In this week's positive news, we have gajillionaire Robert Smith paid off all of the student loans for the graduating class of Howard University. Didn't you go Howard, baby?
I did. It wasn't Howard, it's Morehouse.
Oh, shit.
Fake news. You see how quickly fake news can happen? Fake news can happen just that fast.
All I could think was that you went to Howard.
Yes.
I'm so sorry.
No worries.
You're correct.
Yes.
Morehouse. Pardon me.
Yes.
So you didn't seem excited by that news?
Well,
I know I got it wrong, but...
So I have an analysis of that.
Uh-oh.
While I am very excited for and pleased that the families of those 400 or 390 something graduates will be unburdened by debt, what I think it speaks to, and the reason why I think it's been picked up in the news so powerfully, is because it's putting lipstick on a pig in this sense. How does 400 black students, and just think about this, more than 400 black students graduate every year from college. How does 400 black students pick up $40 million of debt? That is happening to black children and white children too, for that
And half
matter.
black, half white children also.
And half black, half
keep it
white
real.
children. Half black, half Asian, white, Asian, all of it.
I'm just, you know.
Okay. So what I think, gross capitalisms, or as your producer said, late stage capitalism loves these type of darling stories in order to mask the huge inequities that exist inside of this system that would make it so that children are saddled with $40 million worth of debt, and there's one individual within that same society that has garnered and collected and hoarded enough wealth to be able to do that. And so that is, it obfuscates what there I was. I used obfuscates. That's what you call me.
Loquacious. It's okay. I think people know what obfuscate means.
It clouds, it masks what the real issue is, which is the gross inequalities, the fact that higher education is so expensive that it burdens those people that graduate from it, and it gives us a feel-good moment, but it doesn't. It also clouds our analysis because we're so caught up in the feel-good moment that we don't examine the system that says there would have been, without Robert, 400 children that have acquired $40 million worth of debt, and there's one individual that it won't even be a drop in the bucket to him, that he's accumulated so much wealth inside of this capitalistic system that he can do that.
You ruined my positive news for people.
I'm just saying we just have to look at things, from a fuller perspective. But I mean, it's good news in the very narrowest, needle.
Okay, fine. Yeah.
Yeah, there we go.
So I guess I'm on that positive. Okay, so can you think of any positive news from your perspective of positive news for people of color this week?
Timothy Titus says he agrees with me, but he ain't getting his money back. I know that's right. Listen, I would have taken the check too and had my critique later on that night. I just want people to look at the systems, right, that perpetuate the need for a Robert Johnson, right? The problem is that we need a Robert Johnson in this system.
Smith? Johnson?
Robert Smith. Yes, I'm sorry. Robert
Yes,
Johnson.
I got to correct you.
That's right.
L.
You nailed it.
News. Can't get the name of the HBCU
Any
right,
really
but...
great news? You know what I think is great news today? I think it's great news that community came together to support Candy Sitabaka when they saw that fake news, Fugazi news, come forward that was being profited out of the Black Miss Leadership class in order to undermine a movement. Right? And so to see people gather around her and garner support, to be able to see through the fakeness of it, speaks to that Candy's campaign is uplifting the consciousness of a community. And so her campaign is about a conscious raising campaign. It's not merely about getting her in office, and she's always said that. It's about raising consciousness, and that's ultimately what's going to allow us to be in power.
All right, I'll take that because I agree with you. But I will also let you know, I did have a gift for you, but I decided not to give it to you.
You hear that, folks?
Yeah.
So one of the words for today is vindictive.
No, I want to be clear. I am petty.
Petty.
Okay, I am petty. I am Petty LaBelle. And now that I'm supporting Jamie Gillis, I'm Pariah Carey.
And you had the nerve to try to call him Hashade.
He's so... I'll still call him that. That's fine, but I am. All right, listen, we got to wrap this up.
Okay.
And I want to let everybody know we'll be back in not this week, but the following week. And I'm sending an invitation as my guest to whomever is the mayor of Denver. So hopefully that will be happening right here. So let's see who it is and if they will come on.
The Unity ticket. So you're going to have 3 seats here. Oh, 4 plus you. So it's going to be you, Penfield, Lisa, and Jamie. So you're going to need more seats.
I think we can arrange that. We can do that, right, producer? Mm-hmm. Yeah, we'll get 2 cameras. We'll get it popping.
That's
right. All right, I'm looking forward to that. And buy my merch, Tan Tigress. And follow me on Twitter. I only have like 12 followers on my Tan Tigress account.
But those followers have millions of followers. Just tell yourself that. Listen, always look for the upside.
Oh, Lordy. And cut.